All right, we've done a lot. This was a lot, right? A lot of information to take in. And I want to make it clear, I wouldn't expect you after watching this set of videos to be able to just go and do this. But what we're trying to drive to is if you go and ask AI to help you write some code, or if you see code, that you can go in and interpret what's going on. You know enough to say, oh, I see what they're doing. Not necessarily that you would have known how to do it in the first place, but can you understand as you look up, how to do something? Do you have context enough to place that where it belongs in the program? Because if not, you're going to end up spending more time trying to figure out what's going on because you don't know what you're doing. And so what we did in this case, starting from the beginning, we went in to be able to add, we created this donate button. We sent it to this page, but we didn't know how to pass the information. So we figured out how to pass the information. I don't think anybody's going to have too much trouble with that aspect. But then we had this dilemma that we're going to add to a cart. And how do we maintain a cart across all the different pages? Again, we could have passed as parameters the cart around, or we could have elevated to a cart element and just stored the information there. But and had that be a parent element of all the different pages as we went around, which is essentially kind of what we did. But what we did was build a cart element. So walking through the chain again, we went into our types and we added a type called cart item that looks like this. It houses a project ID, a project name, and a donation amount. So we built this template saying this is what a cart item looks like. And then we went and built this context file, which is going to keep track of all the information about a cart. What's in the cart, but also the functions that are in the cart to be able to update it. This is like a self-enclosed component that will keep track of everything about the cart. As we set this up, we said what the cart interface is going to look like, a cart context type. It's going to have a cart, a method called add to cart, or a function called remove from cart, and a function called clear cart, which we haven't even used yet. Hopefully we get to it in a future set of videos. For each of these things, we said what they look like. What type of information is it? This is a cart item array. Cart item referring to this template that we built. This one is going to be a cart item individual, not an array, just an individual one. This function isn't going to return anything. Then we created the remove from cart. It takes as input, we need to know what the project ID is in order to be able to do anything with it. And we'll return a void. The clear cart doesn't need anything as input and doesn't return anything. We just go in when we build it and what we did, the functionality to go set the cart back to 0. All right, so then in here, we then build this, what we call a cart provider. And the cart provider is the thing that sits around in our app.tsx file. It's the tag that sits around all these different components. And what we're saying is we want the cart provider to be the parent element so that all of these routes can see this cart provider. What the cart provider is, this is a function. Right? It needs to know what the children nodes are. So when it's called, it goes and grabs all of these children nodes to know as it builds it, what's part of it. So, and we just say that type is undefined. There's not a good type for it, so it's undefined. And then we export this cart. Oh, that was the line above it. Sorry. The children type is the React node, which are all these little nodes, right, inside React. Okay, so then we come in and we define what does the cart look like? Well, the cart is going to be housed here. We have a set cart method. The default cart is, the type is going to be a cart item array, and the default is to have a blank array. But as we add items to the cart, obviously that's going to be updated. We built a function to add to cart. Our big dilemma there was, what if the item is already in the cart? What do we need to do? And so we built a little variable to check to see if the item's already existing. And then we said the updated cart is either going to look like as we map it out, if we find the project ID in the list of projects that are in this previous cart that's being passed in when the user sets the cart, then what we're going to do is go spread whatever the cart was and go find that element for that project ID. If the project ID matches, we're going to go in and update the amount to include the new amount. Otherwise, we'll just leave it as it was. So then we make the decision. We say if there was an existing item in place, then let's pass the updated cart, which is going to go update the amount. Otherwise, let's use whatever was in the previous cart and just tap on the new item. And that's the add to cart that we're calling, right? And so then in our donate page, we call the add to cart here. We say go in, we want to add to cart whatever the new item is, which will be received on the other side here as the new item, right? And then it can go through and do all this functionality. All right, so remove from cart. We built the functionality remove from cart, and all we do there is we say take in the project ID that was passed in, and we go set the cart to whatever the previous cart was. We're going to filter out any projects that don't match. Filter to any projects that don't match is probably a better way of saying that now that I understand it a little bit better. We use this remove cart by in the cart page, we added the functionality to be able to remove from the cart, and we pass it in the project ID to be able to remove it. And so we're going to take that ID, pass it into our page, and it goes in and filters based on that. The clear cart we're going to use eventually if we say check out. We want to go pass that in, but then eventually when they actually check out, we want to clear the cart so it's not all still sitting in the cart. We didn't get that far. And so then we have the functionality here for this cart provider, but what we're going to return is the cart provider, right? Here in our app.tsx file, cart provider. And then within that, then we're going to get whatever elements that were children inside there, but we're also giving it the values for all these different things we've defined. What is the cart, add to cart, remove from cart, clear cart. And then we export this whole thing as a use cart that we can call to be able to access these elements, the cart, the add to cart, remove from cart, all that stuff as part of this cart. So then as we set these things up, as we use them in the cart page, I need to say we're going to use cart, right? From the context file, I'm going to grab the use cart and I'm going to go take and set the cart and create a way to remove from the cart. We're getting that from that cart, use cart. In the donate page, same idea. We want to be able to add to cart there. And so we need to use that use cart with that definition for add to cart, what it means. Then when I call add to cart, it knows what I'm talking about. In the projects page, we didn't do anything. Sorry, I meant the cart summary. Cart summary, same idea. We're going to use the cart there that's been defined to be able to go run this little function or calculation to go figure out what the total amount is as we go through each of those lines. And so that's how we get that little summary, and then we drop the cart summary on the projects page up in that corner. So we say $1,000, $10,000, feeling very generous. When we continue browsing, then it will update that cart in that top right hand corner. So again, I don't know, like, I'm just figuring all this stuff out, right? I don't know how to write all this stuff, but I know enough to be able to place code and say and read it and say, okay, I can see what it's doing. That's kind of the goal where we're at right now as we're trying to learn this stuff, is to be able to interpret it and see what we're doing. So hang in there. You're doing awesome. It's a lot of stuff, but it's also pretty cool. Very good. Okay, that's it for this set of videos. See you in the next one. Spencer out.